Right, is this one working? Let's try this out. Yeah, looks like this could be working. Yeah. Okay. Right, so pop along if you can. We'll see if we can get up and running there. Hi, Stephen. Good. Just me and you now then. Sorry about this. This is what happens after I've had to redo the computer. Just going to get glitches like this now and again. Looks like we might be having issues with In-Play Guru as well, because the Varnamo match, looks like that's suspended. Okay, that'll be the reason why that stayed at 56. Okay, so we've got relegation 6-pointed. Mönchengladbach have scored first. So there's a hi Trevor. I can't get onto the YouTube version for the. Let's see. So hopefully we can get up and running just for a little bit. So Dunkirk and Paris, the only reason I'm looking at top four clash. Sometimes they will cancel each other out. Spezia, well, top three already leading. Keep an eye on the league positions as well. That might have a bit more juice left in it, particularly those 5 corners for Salernitana, who desperately need points now. Sassuolo, as you know, well, they've already scored again. Far too efficient, which is a pity. And Atalanta Cagliari, well, Atalanta just pre-Champions League as well. So got to be very careful with them. So welcome. If there's anyone else who's watching, if you could just say hello. Oh, there's that Dunkirk and Paris match. So league position is going to be vitally important today, particularly late on, if you see a way to take on that draw. Atalanta look like they're in control of Cagliari. They are pre-Champions League as well, so we've got to be careful with some of those teams. Hajduk Split, well, not very strong favourites. We can keep an eye on that one. Stuttgart, you'd expect them to do something today. Well, it's Dunkirk have taken the lead against top side Paris, second in the league. Paris, automatic promotion, but Dunkirk are after the same. It's very tight up there in French League 2, so we might see a reaction from Paris late on, but looks like a vital 3 points for Dunkirk. That's Salernitana 2-0. Again, I was going to look at that one a bit later on. 2.63 the favourite and relegation 6-pointer. So again, that might not be over. Special end of season element to these matches. Pacos Ferreira Rocher are a goal down. 12th against 8th. 2.15. Well, the 2 goals down now on the 40-minute mark. Not quite in keeping with the pre-match expectation. So we keep an eye on Pacos Ferreira's in-play stats, but there are better leagues available today, so we can choose. Well, that was a Desmond, Leganes and Alaves, 17th against 19th, another relegation 6-pointer. So we'll have a look down any others. 0-0, 7th against 17th. Red card as well for Başakşehirspor, but no great reaction from Bodrum. So that's not really going to be on the radar just yet, unless we get some good attacking pressure very late on. Just get rid of a few of these. So we've got a very interesting set of matches today. We've got the Swedes. The Allsvenskan will be with us very soon. We've got the Cup preluding all of that. Don't think I'll be playing the Cup at the moment. 17th against 14th, 2-0 up for Castillon. A vital 3 points for another struggler. So that'll do at the moment. These will be the watch lists up here. And I hope you're all okay there. Hi, Dave. And hi, Colin. So I'll just, I had Soccer 24 set up already. Yeah, there it is. Good. So we've got majority of our odds on favourites in here. I'm sure there's a few stragglers we just catch up with. Got most of the odds on shots. And that'll be a good angle for us. Wisla Plucko, 4 o'clock. Very short odds there. Won't be going to La Liga 2, I don't think. But Celtic odds on yet again. Kilmarnock odds on today. And the Championship probably too illiquid for us to play. But all odds on favourites at home there. So Real Madrid a bit later on. Athletic at home don't tend to put a foot wrong. They have been a little wobbly of late. Probably down to that Champions League distraction. Besiktas, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's Besiktas. Well, looks like Bodrum have taken advantage of that Basaksehirspor red card. Would have been one to look a little bit later. So those will be the main leagues. We've just got the Belgians and the Austrians and the rest of them. So I think we've got the majority of our important odds-on favourites. Lots of Brazilian footy. I don't think we're missing much out. Unless the English League 2 is down here. So let's, yeah, English League 2. We'll just pick up the odds-on favourites there. It's very tough coupon today. Look at that. Just the one odds-on favourite. Very tough coupon today. We just got that goal back for Donny. Didn't really come early enough to move the market, but when you're laying at such short odds, with a good reason as well, odds on at home, 5th in the league. Don't forget, you'll see the importance of results in the live standings tables. This is very important coming into the end of the season. So that looks to be the all-important matches. They're all in the My Games now, and hopefully we'll get a sound when there's a goal in an odds-on favourite match. That'll just give us an extra trading angle. So I'll keep an eye on this. If you've got a comment, do leave one. I'll have to look now and again. Oxford and Pompey, relegation 6-pointer. Pompey have struck first, make it 2 consecutive wins now. Oxford, far too many draws for them. They'll be a little concerned with that. And the inability really to score that second goal, it's costing them dearly. Failing to score 3 of the last 4, Oxford United. Pompey, 2-1 win against Cardiff, vitally important that. Relegation 6-pointer, must take points off your near rival. And you can see the value of these matches. If this will work. Life standings, of course, you can see how vital this 3 points is. Leganes and Deportivo Alaves is a 3-3. That looks very tasty for a late the draw, doesn't it? As you can see here, take 3 away from that, you're down to 33, and you're just breathing above the relegation zone, 29 points. Oxford won't be alarmed just yet, as long as they can keep their distance, which is currently 9 points, which is 3 consecutive wins for this lot to catch up with them. So an element of calm at Oxford, but some teams have played a fewer games than they have. For example, Stoke. So vitally important for Pompey, this one. Less so for Oxford, who have that comfort of 3 consecutive wins. But Leganes and Deportivo Alaves. Well, let's take a look at this one. No, it looks like that goal has been disallowed, but it could suggest a late assault from Leganes, couldn't it? Live standings again will just give you an idea of the motivation, even at this early stage relative to the end of the season, 15th of Feb. Leganes and Alaves. Add another point to that. Just a simple point, and they're up to 24. They're psychologically out of the relegation zone. So that, if that had that 3-3 stuck, they'd have been absolutely delighted with that, wouldn't they? So it could be one to take on that late lead for Alaves. Let's have a look at this one. So Leganes and Alaves, as late as you dare, basically. 1.17, that's pretty nice. You can start off now, if you want, with a tenner as a stake, not as liability, to win. Then move down 1.14. Or you could just wait, couldn't you? 1.09, 1.06. 1.09, you can up it to 23. And 1.06, you can up it to 32 because it's still under a £2 liability. So that presents some value. We've got a good story behind the need for Leganes to get a result. Has the market changed? Has that goal been reintroduced? No, it hasn't. It's just the market reforming. Looks as if we've got that goal come in. No, it's all over the shop at the moment. No, looks like that's just settled down. So I've got all my plays in. Possibility. Yeah, Leganes 2-3. And a win will take them out of the relegation zone. A draw will take them out of the relegation zone. They've already scored 2, just had 1 VAR off. I think that makes a good argument for such short odds lay of Alaves. Live stream is back up. My apologies for that. As you know, I was hacked recently, so I do have these issues with the computer having to be completely stripped. Leganes and Alaves, it looks like a good argument to lay Alaves. Leganes have just had a draw disallowed. A goal disallowed. And if they get a draw, they will go out of the relegation zone. So it's a very short odds lay of Alaves in the Spanish La Liga late on. Okay. So that's the first telegram. But if you did get the Arsenal one earlier on, however you played it, if you did lay the draw, you'd have been happy with that. Had you gone for the 0-2 Arsenal, in line with Leicester's results, I think, against Crystal Palace and Fulham, 0-0 at half-time at home, losing 0-2 at full-time. It was a bit of a risk because there was a lot of Arsenal strike force absent when you're relying on the old boy, Raheem Hips gone. Sterling, looking for retirement homes in and around. Well, there's Chelsea's got a good retirement home, haven't they? So it's a strange forward line today. Got to just check your team news. Remember last week, Rangers completely changed their team and Liverpool completely changed their team. Nwaneri, Trossard and Sterling, that is nowhere near a strong front three, is it? But when you've got this lot given the ammo for the set pieces, you're always in with a shout. That is a worrying bench injury list, isn't it? Gabriel Jesus, Kai Havertz, Gabriel Martinelli and Saka. These two are the key, though. In tight matches, they were highly likely to get the goal. But they survived. Another 0-2 and another poor performance under football genius Ruud van Nistelrooy. Calls himself a manager, apparently. So that was a good earlier play. It's a bit quiet in the Bundesliga. We had this last week, didn't we? But things are highly likely to ignite at some point. But it is pre-Champions League, I believe, for Dortmund. Stuttgart, not so for them, but they are or have been a Champions League side. Watch out for St. Pauli. 2 wins and a draw recently has taken them out of the relegation zone. They'll be delighted with that quick injection of points. They should be competitive today against Freiburg, particularly at home. They had those 2 wins were clean sheet wins. So if they can repeat that, will be delighted if they can get a result today. Stuttgart, I quite fancy. They have a tendency to be reliable. Few too many draws for the Wolf recently, and Dortmund don't know which Dortmund turns up. Basically, is it going to be the pre-Champions League Dortmund that led a 2-goal lead slip against Werder Bremen, or is it the one with 3 wins in 4 matches? Bochum Dano, desperate need for points, as we know. 2-2 against Holstein Kiel last match, but beating Sporting, that's a good result. Losing to Stuttgart, beating Heidenheim and Shakhtar Donetsk in the Champions League, but still struggling domestically, aren't they? But that 2-2 Werder Bremen, 1-2 Heidenheim, and that 1-2 loss to Stuttgart. But Bochum picking up score draws. They'll be buoyed by that 3-3 against Leipzig, but they're still not picking up wins. That's the problem for Bochum. There it is. There it is. Thoroughly deserved. How much did you get matched? This is the advantage of going early rather than waiting for the 109, 106, because you'll miss out, won't you? But that is a good risk return. Quite happy with that one. Cash out. Take the gift. Oh, delighted to have called that one correctly. These are the things you can sniff out at this stage of the season. Motivation. They've just had a goal disallowed. Got that huge motivation where they will get out of the relegation zone just with a point. And they've just had a goal disallowed. And they're at home and they've already scored 2 goals. You don't have to be Wayne Rooney or Ruud van Nistelrooy, football genius, to work out that that is a value lay in a relegation 6-pointer. Let's have a look at the importance now in the live standings of that Leganes point. Zoom. Swapsies. How about that? That's the importance of that. They've literally swapped places. Amazing, isn't it? Because Alaves earlier on, we were looking at their result with 3 full points up in 24. Now Leganes were on 23. They're up to 24 with that single point there. Wow. What a change. Mentally as well. You're out of the bottom 3 in front of your home support. So really good play. I just hope you got on a bit more than I did. Hi, Alan. Nice to see you. Hi, Bosun. Nice to see you. I'm sorry I can't keep track of your comments today. As you know, this is should be an unlisted video. So that means that just people with the link can get in. So I hope you got on, Leganes. I'm sure there'll be a lot more stories like that over the coming weeks. Having a good time. Borussia Mönchengladbach, Union Berlin having an awful time recently. It would have been a possible play had they scored first. Pompey already 0-2 up. Well, 90th minute, 0-2 against Oxford United. Again, that is going to be a vital win for Pompey. In their charge to stay up, you can have a look at the live standings and see. So these odds, it's not a strong favourite, is it? By any stretch. 2.3. And given the season and the timing of the season, Pompey take 3 away from that. They're a little bit too close to the relegation zone. Add 3 onto that, and along with Derby, equal games played and a nice 7-point buffer. That's 2 consecutive wins and a draw Derby will have to get in the next 3 matches, with Pompey losing every single one of those 3. So it's a nice position to be in. Just positioning yourself ever nearer to survival as the number of matches run out. Great result for Pompey. not the strongest favourite on the planet at 2.3. Bundesliga is oh so quiet apart from Borussia Mönchengladbach, but I wouldn't be taking on that 0-2 lead. Union Berlin's recent form has been absolutely woeful, but a couple of wins recently against the Hoff. Well, that's not form, is it? And then you've got the 2-1 win against Mainz. So reasonable, but stuck in the middle of that. Emphatic defeat to St. Pauli, failing to score against Leipzig. And failing to score against Augsburg as well. And with Mönchengladbach on a run of 2 wins and a draw in the last 3, they are or have the momentum here. 8th against 13th. Looking for a European spot, Borussia Mönchengladbach. Union Berlin just looking to nurse their wounds, survive the season and collect themselves for next season. It's been an awful season form-wise for them. Like their last season, they just didn't get going at all. Talking of not getting going, Dortmund just the one shot on target. Again, pre-Champions League, I believe. I don't think I can get on UK.soccerway. No, I can. Good. We check Tuesday out and Wednesday out. This is second legs. So we're going to have a better chance of getting a trade in these matches because we've got a first leg result, don't we? Tight match, Bayern and Celtic, but Bayern absolutely bossed them start to finish. Benfica Monaco, red carded match involved there. AC Milan and Feyenoord. I think Feyenoord might have got the win there, did they? I'm not, can't remember. But we've got first leg results to work off. Don't forget these teams this week. Atalanta playing at the moment against Cagliari. Are they going to slip up? That's the question. Feyenoord playing a little later on as well. Wednesday, we've got a similar group. Dortmund playing today. Sporting might be playing later. Paris Saint-Germain playing away at Toulouse. Brest played yesterday, I believe. Got that 2-2 draw if you played that one. That was a nice play on a Friday. PSV have been a little under par of late, and the old lady. I'm not sure if the old lady's playing today or not. But Real Madrid playing later on, and Man City as well. So are they going to be affected by the Champions League? That's the question. So we've got to be aware of that, particularly for the likes of Dortmund today. Are they going to underperform? Because it's an ideal opportunity for Bochum if they can get that distraction element. Vital 3 points for them in 18th place. 3 o'clocks are about to begin. So we're going to be bombarded with scorelines as they're coming in. And get rid of Oxford and Pompey now. Başakşehir Sport. Well, looks like Bodrum have done them, thanks to that red card. Modena and Spezia half-time at 1-1. 10th against 3rd. So you'd be looking more at Spezia to try and cement an automatic promotion spot, wouldn't you, in the second half? The last draw was a 2-2. That saw 3 second-half goals against Palermo. So that's a positive. We don't have to wait for the match to end a draw, do we, to trade the draw? We can just wait for the draw to end. Hopefully, the right team will score the goal. And in this case, it would probably be Spezia, who've scored 2+ goals in the last 4 matches, including 2 against Sassuolo, which is a decent result there. Have tended to score second half as well, Spezia. 4 goals against Carrarese second half. So we might have something there. Red card for Leganes late on. Wow, is this a chance for Alaves to nick it? So what I would do here, I would look at potentially cashing out and then see if you can just sacrifice 50p now and again, favouring Alaves. Bochum have got the first goal against Dortmund. Now this is going to be a tricky one because Dortmund on paper, of course, by far the better side. But Bochum, desperate need for points. So I'm going to try to get a bit more out of Alaves here. Just with the 50p. You can see it just starts moving them upwards, and we're not costing ourselves too much of our existing profit. So once it gets matched, it's up to 30 quid now. So that's a lot more appealing, isn't it? You're just not forsaking too much profit, but the difference is marked now, isn't it? Clock is certainly with Leganes, as is the motivation to not concede, because they want that psychological buffer of being out of the bottom three. That'll do me up to 37 quid to double your money for the sake of a quid or so. I think that's well worth a punt. Need for a win rather than points, because they're going to swap places again. The onus is now on Alaves, isn't it, to take advantage of that extra player. So fascinating this stage of the season. 3-0 for Carrarese against Salernitana. Not quite what the market expected. 2.63 the favourite, 16th against 17th. We might get that air of complacency in second half, because they're not used to winning, this Carrarese side, are they? But Salernitana not used to scoring that many goals, and it's already 2-0 to Bochum. Dano taking real advantage. Just wait for confirmation of that, and I'm not getting the sound I want to hear, which is a pity. You want to hear when the goals come in, so you know any odds on favourite matches, and that's probably, if I do that, Brentford have scored first against West Ham, but as you know, it's a London derby, so I wouldn't have that at the head or as a priority match. Have to look at the in-play stats there. It is a London derby, but as you know, in the past, in viewing Brentford, we have seen a lot of both teams to score in London derbies. Alan, thank you very much. Now looking for less than 6.5 goals in Leganes, possible late winner. Well, we've got the red card working for us, Alan, and it's plenty of motivation for Alaves. They'll swap position, won't they? They'll swap position with Leganes. So let's see. 2-0 is a good entry point, Bochum, but boy, will they need the points. So let's have a look. It's a tricky one, trusting a pre-Champions League side away. We can't take insurance out unless you do John H's both teams to score, no. And thanks to John for his email today. I scanned it, but I'll look on it properly a bit later on. Thank you very much for that. Sorry I haven't got back to you. Both teams to score, no. It's a decent 4.9. I can walk you through this. But if it gets to 3-0, we're not going to be able to cover 3-1. We're taking on the 2-0 as a shock result. So the amount of stake you want to use will cover the 0-1, cover the 0-2. Best to do this really at the 0-1, would have got much better odds. So that's the both teams to score, no, that's the 0-2 covered. Sorry, 2-0 covered. I want to cover the 1-2. But don't forget, this comes with risks, given the fact it is pre-Champions League for Dortmund. If ever they're going to cock it up, it's going to be today. Back 2-1, Bochum. We're hoping that they flatten out at 2-0. That's what we're hoping. So your total is 18 quid, but that gives you carte blanche now to head into the match odds market. And you can do your half stakes, which at sevens will yield you a pretty decent reward. But what we don't want is the third Bochum goal. So this isn't the best play in the world, given it's pre-Champions League for Dortmund and they're away from home. But this is an example of the possible reward if you take this greater risk. That's already 129 quid Don't forget, when you're laying at 1.5, you're doubling your money. So that's going to up to a juicy amount, 170 quid if Dortmund pull this one off. Don't forget, we're very, very early in the match, which is a negative as well if you're trying not to get a third for Bochum. That will spoil the fun. It's a very risky play. As you can hear, I haven't passed it on to Telegram just yet. We can have a look at the Bochum goals. So let's have a... Well, Masouras looks like he's having a great game. Georgios Masouras. 2 goals in quick succession. So they're from open play. Fair enough. Bochum have a 2-goal lead. They would be desperately looking to hold on to that. Check out the difference that this 3 points makes for Bochum. Well, it gets them nearer to Heidenheim, doesn't it? And this is what they'll be aiming for realistically. Bochum is to get that relegation playoff place rather than getting automatically relegated. Dortmund, well, they're having a poor season in 11th, which is very unlike them. They're normally vying for the title, aren't they? So it's much of a muchness for them at the moment. But they're clear of relegation. A win today, take them to 32 points, and they'll be within 2 points of a European spot. So plenty of motivation for them today. We'll keep an eye on that one. So if you wanted to play 2-0 as a good starting point, isn't it, for taking on an underdog leading. Lots of goals coming in, mostly lower tier Scotland. So we're not missing anything at the moment. So let's have a walk through. Coming to half time in Germany. Serie B, beginning of the second half. Sassuolo likely to add to their tally. They are an excellent second half scoring side at home. Südtirol and Sampdoria must win really for Südtirol. They've avoided the draw in the last 4 matches. Cavarese look the dominant force here, but very layable at those kind of odds in a relegation 6-pointer. But the problem is their opponent, not very good goal scorer. 5 of the last 7 teams to score have been Scots. So we're not missing anything at the moment. The lower tiers in Scotland can't really be traded on Betfair. Czech 1 League, Dukla Prague at Slovakia. Dukla Prague newly promoted, I believe. So they could be targetable. It's a good league, the Czech 1 League. Got some familiar names. Talking of familiar names, good start for Blackburn in 5th against Plymouth, who were on a run of 3 consecutive wins. Buoyed by that win against Liverpool. It's really given them a boost, helping them to stay up. Middlesbrough really didn't have a shout against Sheffield United last match. Comfortable second half display for the Blades. But they're odds on now, and we return at home. So the market's looking for a comeback. Hull, well, they've met a couple of tough opponents recently. Burnley, scoring boots on this occasion, avoiding the 0-0, and unlucky defeat to Stoke. Again, the Scots still keep bringing the goals in. The last 4 of the last 5 matches have been from Scotland. Millwall and West Brom, it's always going to be interesting, but 2.75 the favourite suggests we leave that to the in-play stats. And Three Bridges and Lancing, I know we've been waiting for that one. Hull City scoring first against Norwich. That could be interesting. Birmingham odds on today as usual. So let's have a look at Hull City and Norwich. It's not an odds on favourite match. I think Kilmarnock will be odds on here. St Johnstone bottom of the SPL. Yeah. So we're not got a shock result there. Queen's Park and Hamilton Championship. Let's have a look there. Lots and lots of Scottish goals. 2.1 home favourite. 0-2 down. We can keep an eye on that one if you want. Queen's Park and Hamilton. But this is the early knockings for the English matches. Bristol Rovers 19th against 23rd. Burton do have a fight in them, so that will be an interesting match to follow up. Bournemouth have scored first against Saints. That's not really a shock result. Barnsley scoring first against Huddersfield. So we've not got much to work with at the moment. English League Two, as you know, it's very untrustworthy. Even though the in-play stats are in your favour, the seasonal form's in your favour, they can do what Crewe did last week and lose quite comfortably, despite you doing all your normal checks. So it's not a league I'm going to be focusing on too much when we've got better quality elsewhere. Looking at the Premier League, Man City, as we know, are in the Champions League next week. Interesting to see Fulham as odds-on favourite against Nottingham Forest. That's fascinating market there. As you know, London, Derby, West Ham and Brentford. I wouldn't be too keen on calling that one. So, arguable. Well, Fulham have taken the lead against Forest. That might not be the final score. So we look on that with interest. Why were they odds on today? Is there any injuries to Nottingham Forest? Is Chris Wood injured? Like the Arsenal side, are they a little blunted? So we can have a quick look at the Fulham side. And Coventry have the lead against Sheffield United, and Atalanta taking the lead against Cagliari. I should have looked at that one for a later draw, shouldn't I? Second half. That's another reason why we have these odds-on favourites. You can look at laying that draw second half. Just want to have a look at the Forest team news. Is there any major absentees? No. Chris Wood is playing. Elanga. Gibbs White. It looks a very strong side. Awoniyi, broken nose. That's probably from the FA Cup. But it's solid enough. Hudson-Odoi, Moreno on the bench. Bolly. So Fulham enjoying a good run of it at the moment. 3 wins in 4. But Leyton Orient Lincoln, let's just have a quick look at this one. And it's 0-2 to Bournemouth again, suffering from the Saints. Atalanta's goal has been disallowed, so you might want to reinvestigate that one. Again, a bit like Dortmund pre-Champions League. Atalanta, can they be relied upon? I'm just looking for the pre-match odds. Looks as if odds-on favourites scored first there, so that's okay. Looks like this could be 0-2. We'll keep an eye on Atalanta. Much needed 3 points today, but they are pre-Champions League. That is the concern. Just had a goal disallowed. Had I known a bit more or remembered a bit more about this, I would have laid that over 0.5 goals as we did in the Arsenal match. Half time would probably be here. Just that straight bit there. 1.25. Very reasonable. And all the while you're waiting, the draw odds get shorter and shorter and shorter. Taking a while, that's the goal. That's the difference. If you can lay that draw, you've got an idea of where the odds will go with an Atalanta lead. Of course, it will change later on in the match. The odds will get higher. So I would have preferred to have played this one doing insurance, I must say. Pre-Champions League as well. Just blunts your enthusiasm, really, doesn't it, for Atalanta? But you can tell, again, Atalanta. Blackpool have scored first against Mansfield. have a look in the standings, the importance of a win for both sides. Atalanta will go to 54 points and will be equal on points with Inter Milan with a win. No, they won't, because they've already got the draw. So they'll be 2 points ahead on 53. So they will be staying close to the top two and have a chance at the title with a win. Cagliari, well, mid-table, I think, is their best case. They need to break 40 points to get into Europe. And they're only 5 points above relegation. So a win for them will take them to 27. So that draw could be very important. But don't forget, it's pre-Europe for Atalanta as well. Man City are leading against Newcastle. Are they vulnerable pre-Champions League today? None of the sides are really underperforming as yet. So we're not seeing that pattern emerging just yet. Champions League sides struggling. Leganes, yeah, Freiburg just missed a penalty, says Bosun. Dortmund are 3 goals up on Sporting Lisbon. They have no excuses, says Bosun as well. Indeed, well, 2-0. Bosun's your best opening point, isn't it? It keeps your liability low. Got a good chance of a profit if you can get that 1-2. Shrews have scored first against Bolton. Again, I'm not getting my odds-on favourites coming through. I think Bolton would be odds-on favourite here, wouldn't they? Against Shrewsbury, another relegation side. Yeah, 1.95 away. But let's have a look at the standings for Shrewsbury and Bolton. So Shrewsbury, as it is now, with a win, they will move to 30 points. Crucial. Because they're getting Peterborough in the mix now, aren't they? Because it's a harsh league, 4 relegation places. Bolton, with a win, will take them to that magical 50-point marker. And that's going to be a fascinating battle then. 47 up to 50. So they'll have a real chance at promotion, Bolton. So the underdog is leading at the moment. This might not be over. Let's make sure we follow this match, if I can find it. So I'll have to get rid of a few of these. Unpack Dukla Prague and have a look for the Shrews and Bolton. So we've got to keep an eye on the in-play stats there, because it's the underdog scored first and there's a really strong argument for both teams to get the win. So will the side with the better form this season? Well, looks like it's a deserved lead for the Shrews, doesn't it? 16 dangerous attacks to 0. You're going to get the odd shock result from February to April. Well, 3-1. So if you did lay that 3-0 in a relegation 6-pointer, you'd be up and running. And if it is still low, still half an hour to go. It's a relegation 6-pointer. Let's have a break. And I wish I'd taken that insurance out now. So try to get into that habit if it's a 0-0 at half time and you really fancy it, but it could be a tight one, i.e. because it's a pre-Champions League. But like the Arsenal match, you expect the goal to come eventually. And this is a great technique, because now, look at this, you're lowering. Having laid out over 0.5 goals at 1.25, you can now lay the draw, nearing odds on. And as long as the match doesn't end in a score draw, you will profit. So there was a match I was going to, Carrarese Salernitana, just to check the odds. If they're short enough, half an hour to go, relegation 6-pointer. It's well worth a nibble, I think. They've got the goal. That's the important element. They've got the goal. So that'll give them a little bit belief, Salernitana. And look at the liability. You could even just back 50 pence at 80s, at 90s. And if it gets matched, of course, you make a nice return. So I think that's got some real legs to it. Half an hour to go. Relegation 6-pointer, costing you nothing to find out. Cavarese and Salernitana. And you can see, oh, it's already 2-0 to Man City. That might not end 2-0. Celtic have already taken the lead against Dundee United, as they did when they were last 1.17. Textbook 3-0 win with a goal before half-time and a 3-0 win. They've got that goal after the 20-minute marks. Don't forget that strategy. 1.2 favourites and lower. If it's 0-0 after 20 minutes, you've got an opportunity of looking for a goal before half-time. Man City 2-0 already. So Cavarese, Salernitana, getting a good shift from them, aren't we? I don't need to check the in-play stats because I'll be keeping an eye on that score, and we'll hear the suspend button if we do get a goal. So Tyrrell, great opportunity for them if they want to get 3 points today, help them in their promotion, in their relegation battle. It's a 1-1 with Sampdoria, so we'll keep an eye on that one. Look to see if there's been a significant reaction. And there has. There's been 1 shot on 3 off. So there's a possibility here. And it's 0-2 to Brentford. It is, don't forget, a London derby. But if you think that both teams to score angle will pay off yet again in the London derby for Brentford, then 0-2, of course, is an excellent entry point. We might get something out of Sutil. Don't forget they got those 3 goals recently against Sassuolo. I think it was just, yeah, there we go. 3 goals against Sassuolo. Away at Sassuolo. Scored 3 goals against Frosinone. Scored 2 against Reggiana. So they got that second goal in them. So that draw could be gettable at some point. It remains 0-1 to Brentford. So Südtirol Sampdoria. Again, this is one. I wish I'd laid that draw, because I'd like to have that covered. Because it's if you're going full liability, it's a bit of a hit if it doesn't come in, isn't it? So the ideal would have been to get this covered, this over 2.5 goals, as low as I could have got it. That's after the goals, and then it's drifted up. So to have got it back here, and then we can do our draw thing again. We can wait for the draw to happen, and all the while that the draw doesn't happen, or isn't laid, or hasn't ended, we're going to get shorter and shorter odds to lay. The shorter the odds to lay, the bigger the return, as long as it doesn't end in a score draw after becoming or ending the draw ending. It's a score draw now, of course. We can do the whole draw strategy all over again. So I did miss that one a bit, but I would be keen to lay this draw, because at some point, if Südtirol can score, the compounding effect of the red card, you're going to see the draw odds hit double figures. So up to you. Do you want to risk it now, or do you want to sit on it and wait? This is why I love that. In this case, laying over 2.5 goals. If it's 0-0, laying over 0.5 goals, and then just sitting on it. And all the while you're sitting on it, you're going to get lower and lower and lower odds, as you saw with the Arsenal earlier on, even though they scored 2 goals. Looks like Sassuolo might have to dig in if Brescia's recent attacking pressure brings a goal. But that would be a good lay the draw angle as well. 20 odd goals scored in the last half hour of home matches for Sassuolo. So if they need one, it's there in the locker. Atalanta Cagliari, the only negative not allowing me a confident lay the draw here is because it's pre-Champions League for Atalanta. But you can tell the importance of a win. More for Atalanta to take them still within breathing distance of the title. But it's pre-Champions League. Man City don't seem to be alarmed by it, but Atalanta's struggling. Just had a goal disallowed as well. Again, this is one I'd be very, very confident laying that draw at odds on, having ensured at half-time at 0-0, which I should have done. So that would have been an excellent play, because all the while you're waiting, the pressure is more on Atalanta to get the win. But what if Cagliari can keep it tight, nick a 0-1? That'll be great. And all the while it remains a draw, you're getting shorter and shorter odds. It's a really nice strategy. I know John H has a new idea, which involves the double chance. So I'll have a look at that and pass it on to you. Hajduk Split. Well, 70th minute. No great appeal with better leagues around Europe on today. Pacos Ferreiro Rocher got the goal back. Were they 0-2 down? Yes, they were. We flirted with that one, but the red card looks to have changed that one completely, doesn't it? So there is possibilities to take on Florenza at some point if you think that Ferreiro Rocher can get a goal back and make it. There's a Sassuolo goal right on the button, 73rd minute, just to put that one to bed against Brescia. Brilliant, brilliant record, all available to you at soccerstats.com. That Sassuolo home scoring record. It is quite something. That's why I would have been quite happy had Brescia equalised. I would have been looking for Sassuolo to finish that one off. Stuttgart and Wolfsburg 0-0 at half time. Well, we can do our checks. And I think Andy was asking about soccer stats earlier on. All of this nonsense. I'm not affiliated with soccer stats, Andy, at all. Though they're trying to get money off us, but I've done what they've asked. I've got rid of all of the ad blockers, so they really shouldn't be adding any extra bits. We're looking at Stuttgart and Wolfsburg to see if we can expect a second half goal. Let's have a look. So it's very quiet in the big leagues, isn't it? It's a lot of goals in Scotland today. So Stuttgart look pretty solid at home. Only lost to St. Pauli and Mönchengladbach recently. Wolfsburg, too many score draws. No win in 4. Recent wins against Mönchengladbach and the Hoff. Mönchengladbach recently beating Stuttgart in the last home match. Did get that beating of Dortmund, pre-Champions League Dortmund as well. First goal was an own goal. Got an equaliser, another own goal. So I wonder if they're having problems up front. One of those was a penalty. So they might be struggling up front on occasion. A couple of consecutive own goals for Stuttgart. Are we going to lay the 0-0? Well, 0-0 last Wolfsburg match is not a positive. 1-0 at half-time at home, none at full-time. 2 0-0s at half-time away, 1 at full-time for the away side. My problem is Stuttgart's scoring recently, as you've just seen. It's a little poor, isn't it? Real Madrid have scored first against Osasuna. They'll be delighted with that. But a good second half. 68% of goals scored in the second half have come, at home have come second half. So that, for me, would be a good match to show you my idea about laying that second half draw. We'll have a look at John H's next week as well. So you'll be covering the current scoreline, hoping this remains tight. So I'll be looking to win 20, or you could up it to 40 if you want. If you wanted to use £40 stakes. So that's my current liability. If we get an early goal, that's all I'll lose. But if we get a 0-0 for a while, this draw will start falling. You can see it's a nice steep drop there. Hopefully we'll continue to be as steep as we edge towards odds on. 3-0 for Man City might become layable, or are they just having a rare old afternoon? Are the Geordies injury ravaged? So that's not quite the pre-Champions League scoreline I was expecting. So let's have a look at the Newcastle lineup. Millwall have opened it up against West Brom. That might not be over. Perkins. Who on earth is this? Oh, that's Leyton Orient. I was going to say Perkins playing for Man City. I don't remember a Perkins. I don't think they're odds on, so let's go to the live. Just want to check that Newcastle lineup because they shouldn't be getting battered like this. Marmoush. So he's got a run of 2 consecutive matches now, Marmoush. Looks like another find for the Moneybags City. Rodri, Grealish, Akanji out. Looks like he's getting a run in the game, Marmoush. He was picked midweek as well. But it's a very strong Newcastle side. Isak, Gordon, Murphy, Bruno, Tonali, Willock. Well, based on the season that Man City have had, you wouldn't be relying on them to bring that home, would you? If it's short enough, it's layable enough with a reason. It's pre-Champions League, don't forget as well. You see the struggles that Atalanta are being put through. Have we missed the opportunity, or is this 3-0 returning to 2-0? Because that's not the odds of 3-0, is it? At all. So I'm not sure what's going on at Manchester City or at Betfair. If any of you know, let me know. Atalanta top scorer Retegui has been taken off, says Bosun. Freiburg just missed a penalty as well. So let's just do a catch-up. 75th minute. Well, a couple of odds-ons. Watch out for Sud Tirol if they can break through. The longer we wait, the lower the odds to lay the draw. And the bigger the swing if we can get Sud Tirol to score the next goal. I think they will fancy it. They've scored 2+ goals in 3 of the last 4 matches. So that's one to delay and try to get nice shorter odds because you get a really big swing. We can get rid of Sassuolo. Atalanta, typical pre-Champions League performance, but did have a goal disallowed. But the motivation is huge to get the win. It will keep them in the title race. Simple as that. So this could be a 109, 106 later on, couldn't it? They'll go to the death, but you know as well as I do, these pre-Champions League sides, particularly in these second legs, are or potentially could stumble. Look at Dortmund 2-0 down already. Despite their lead in the Champions League, Atalanta struggling in the 80th minute against 13th. Are there going to be any more Champions League misses? Well, you can lay Man City, of course, if the market will undo. Pre-Champions League Man City could be complacent, but this Marmoush looks to be having a rare old afternoon. That's the only difference between the sides. Marmoush. Looks like Fulham are dominating Nottingham Forest at the moment. And looks like the market is getting that right, aren't they? Dortmund starting to wind it up as the second half begins. 1 shot on 8 off 3 corners. Really poor season for them. West Ham and Brentford, I wouldn't be playing London derbies. It's cost a few bob. There's that Nottingham Forest equaliser. Well, wasn't really there, was it, on the in-play stats? But there we go. It could be a penalty, that, if it's not really shown up in-play stats-wise. Could be a set piece. Probably Mr. Wood from New Zealand. We'll wait and see. So let's work our way through. Shrewsbury and Bolton. Keep an eye on Bolton, but obviously the Shrews desperate need for points. But Bolton really have the form in the book to do something here today, but they've not turned up yet. Well, wait and see what that Forest goal is, because on the in-play stats, absolutely nothing suggesting a Forest equalise, but their position, I suppose, in the league suggests they'll be competitive, as does Fulham's. Well, Fulham's form against the top sides, they do score and concede, don't they? But they generally come out of it unscathed. So let's have a look at a few other matches we can catch up on. Nothing doing yet. Slovakia and Dukla Prague. We've got a couple of red cards. Jablanek and Seska Budovica. I won't get involved. Doubly red carded matches. Not for me. Stoke and the Swans coming to half time 0-0. Coventry did have a 0-2 lead, but it's back down to 0-1. 2.3 the favourite. We'll keep an eye on that one. Frank Lampard, football genius, on his run to the playoff places. Rotherham equaliser being disallowed. And that's the only real recent information. Keep an eye on Bolton. Are they going to react to being a goal down? Will Shrewsbury make yet another giant killing, as Hull did? Montpellier, Accrington Stanley, all relegation zone sides. Bochum at the moment pulling off a shock result against the Champions League, Dortmund. Stoke and the Swans, 19th against 17th again. It could be one to target the very late, lay the draw there. The need for 3 points is great. Hull and Norwich. Norwich going through too many, both teams to score without winning. Hull did get that win against the Blades. 2 consecutive losses since then. I don't think this one will be over yet, but they're keeping the Canaries quiet. Sassuolo scoring yet another goal in the 70th to 90th minutes. Quite brilliant side. Millwall and West Brom. West Brom in the last remaining playoff place, I think, in 6th. Not really shown up, but it is one of those rely on the market matches. 2.75 the favourite. Luton against Sheffield United, another potential shock on the boards, as indeed is Middlesbrough and Watford. Middlesbrough 1.67 today. Ipswich potentially red card. That should open the door up to the villains second half. And as I was talking, Millwall against West Brom. West Brom have equalised, but Luton, Sheffield United, 24th in the league, looking good against the Blades. But the Blades were killer against Middlesbrough second half last match. Talking of Middlesbrough, we'll have to keep an eye on them. Looks like Watford have opened the scoring against them. If that is confirmed, takes a while to turn up here on the scanner. There it is. Yeah, that's a potential play. We can break off and have a look at this season long. But the market certainly had Middlesbrough favoured. And you always take note of that, particularly after a recent defeat. They lost to the Blades quite easily, really, in the second half. So we'll have a look at Middlesbrough's form against teams around Watford in the league. See why they're odds-on favourite today. Is there any reason for it? So let's have a quick look. Well, it's all relative to who they're playing as well. But 3 of those 4 defeats have come away. Portsmouth, Preston and Sheffield United. Loss against Sunderland, that's a local derby. So I wouldn't be taking that to heart. That's just the luck of the draw on the day, isn't it, really? And it came via an own goal for Sunderland. This is a local North East derby. So if we look at the form prior to that at home, it's competitive, isn't it? Watford, only the 1 win since the 29th of December against Derby County, who are in the relegation zone. So challenge table will reveal confidence or otherwise. They've scored in the last 8 away, Watford. Make that 9 now. So this is 9th against 13th. You can tell the struggles for Middlesbrough against the top 10, really. They lost 2-1 to Watford last time these two met. So that's an advantage, Watford there. Not really scored that second goal against 14th, 15th or 17th. So that's a slight problem for Borough as well. Salernitana make it 3-2 in the 86th minute. That sets us up rather nicely. I don't know why the Man City game is not unsuspended. So here we go. Strap yourselves in. Strap yourselves in. And look at the risk reward. It's pretty decent, isn't it? It's about 2.5. Well, it was 2.5. Now it's 1-1. It's all relative to the amount risked, of course. If that's 29, that was looking about 25. Strap yourselves in. We've still got 4 minutes plus extra time for Salernitana to get that third goal. That's the kind of play I like. So let's go back. Middlesbrough and Watford. It looks a messy one to me, really, doesn't it? They're winning sporadically away against 8th, 15th and 22nd. Middlesbrough far better at home against 14th and lower. A bit of a question mark there. Looking at the goal times, are they better second half scorers? Well, they are at the end. 5 goals. They scored 2/3 of their home goals in the first half, Borough. But we might be in with a shout. Watford have conceded 17 goals in the second half, 13 of those in the last half hour. Are they really going to hold on? So we'll look on that one with interest. We've got an odds on favourite at home. I like the odds, 1.57. Normally indicative of an unbeaten performance, or at least not losing 0-2 if you're going to do insurance. So that has possibilities second half, particularly with Watford's conceding rate, 17 goals conceded second half away from home. 2 red cards now for Sampdoria. Can Sootiriol take advantage? Let's look at the live standings. PSV have the opening goal. They're involved in the Champions League. Up and coming. Utrecht, not too shabby. So the 2 red cards. Who were they for? I've just... Sootiriol. Yeah, let's have a look at how 3 points rather than 1 will change Sootiriol. And that can give us some motivation to have a look. So we're going to the standings and the live standings. So as it is with the draw, Sootiriol find themselves in the relegation zone with a draw. Add 2 to that, they're up to 28 points, which is equal with Reggiana, Mantova, and only 1 point shy of Sampdoria, who they're playing. So they'll actually take that point away from Sampdoria. Possibly. Well, they won't go above them. They'll be on the same points, but they're bringing 4 teams into the relegation squabble, which is, they won't be that lonely now, will they, on 26. So you're looking for this kind of motivation to get yourself a nice late lay the draw. I think it's a really good argument, like we did earlier on. If we can get in low enough, imagine a Sootiriol goal with 2 red cards. It's going to be doubly impacted. It will end the game, basically. Now you see how, had I laid over 2.5 goals at the beginning of the second half, we'd be sitting on an absolute beauty here, wouldn't we? Have I missed it? Is this permanently suspended like the Man City match? I'll just see. Any comments? Marmoush hat-trick, says Enoch. Indeed. Quite outstanding. 2 consecutive games for Marmoush. He's the only difference between the sides. So given that, you might be able to lay Man City if the market is unsuspended. So we'll wait on that. Sootiriol and Samp. There we go. Sootiriol have got the goal. There. It was coming. Did you lay the draw earlier than me? We're looking for motivation at this stage of the season. So if you did lay that draw before the suspend, well done. Surely they can't let a golden opportunity like this go through them. Now, this will show you the importance of that single goal. Looked like PSV cocking it up again pre-Champions League against Utrecht. Oh, it's a pen as well. Lucky Südtirol. But look at the difference this has made now. They're shooting up the league. They've swapped, or nearly swapped, with Samp. 28, 28, 28, 28, 29. That's more comforting for Südtirol. Bring this lot into the relegation dogfight. While Salernitana are happily losing 2-3 as well. We could do with a 3-3 there. That would be a very nice return for us, but not so for Südtirol. Nice 3-point gap, bringing 4 other teams into the relegation squabble just with that single goal. Had we been able to get on odds on after that second red, that would be a bit of value, wouldn't it, for that lay? Atalanta and Cagliari, have we missed the late lay of the 0-0? Put this down to pre-Champions League if Atalanta drop 3 points today. This is what we have to fight with, isn't it? Now that, got to give that a bit of a go. Rather do, well, do it now. There's still a little bit of time left. It's at 104 suggests, and it's not moving. So we're going to get a little bit of value out of this. Must win really to keep tabs with the top 2 and be within a point or 2 of the top 2. But it is pre-Champions League. Something is going to creak. Something's going to give. The manager can't manage the whole squad. Expect them all to play consistently. There's going to be some changes in the team, particularly with a second leg to go as well next week. There we go. That's all right. It's a low liability lay. This remains at 103. We're still in with a shout. It's taking a while. So maybe it's an injury to a player and it'll be a little bit more added time. But this is what we have to struggle with. PSV 1-1. Dortmund 2-0 down. Atalanta failing to win. Man City 3-0 up. If that unsuspends, I've got to lay Man City, given the season they've had. And that's a strong looking Newcastle side. A 3-1 changes the whole complexion of the match. And the only difference, as Enoch said, is Marmoush. That's the only difference. If he's not on form, then there's no 3 goals. And at these odds, with that record, with the whole second half to go, and with a second leg in the Champions League upcoming, with a Real Madrid win in the previous leg, it's a nice recipe. Alexander Isak in the form of his life. Liability, ultra low. 50p on at 170. Well, it could change, couldn't it? It's just a striker in form. That's the only difference. 3 goals. So we might be in with a shout here. We can get rid of Südtirol. If you did lay the draw there, well done. I know you go off on your own following the information, so that's a good thing. Stuttgart and Wolf is a difficult one for me to pick, but we did lay that over 0.5 goals. St. Pauli and Freiburg, I should have done that as well in the 45th minute. Why? Because St. Pauli would dearly love a win. And Freiburg are in 6th, dearly love 3 points for a European place. So do check out your 0-0s at half time, particularly if you're expecting goals. So this is another reason for doing the odds-ons. Have a look through. Slovakia and Dukla Prague. You could arguably do that. Aston Villa and Ipswich. I don't think we're going to have a chance here. Aston Villa and Ipswich. But it's going to be very low odds. But I don't think this is going to be 0-0 for a while. Aston Villa aren't involved in Europe, and this is going to be nice and short though, 1.12. So you could sit on it. It's my lay the draw, sit on it strategy. 10-second delay or a little bit more. Laying over 0.5 goals. There we go. You're just going to hope that Ipswich flood that defence and we can get this draw a lot lower. It's a big ask. It is a really big ask for this to go all the way down to odds on. That was the red card. That's the difference that made. Huge difference, isn't it? Certainly, you could be eyeing a 2-0 or even starting off at 3-0 if they click Aston Villa. Do check the team news as well at this stage of the season. They might be picking up some niggles. You saw those multiple changes earlier on. Who was that for? Arsenal earlier on, despite getting that 2-0 win. Martinelli absent, Havertz absent, Saka absent, and Gabriel Jesus absent. Correct score, 3-0. Any other home win, and a 3-1, just in case. Possibles. As ever, just think about lowering your liability as best you can. The best way to do that is just to delay. 1.28 suggests we're going to be aiming for a 3-0, 3-1, any other home score. 2.5 goals likely to be a bit skinny. 2.8, yeah. So you'll have to go one up. And it becomes a little bit more value, but you're asking them to do quite a bit. So the possibilities of 2 or 3 goals if they click second half, Aston Villa, they must take this gift and help themselves up the European places. So that's the odds-ons. Keep an eye on the 0-0s at half-time. Blackburn and Plymouth. Is there enough of an argument here? Certainly Plymouth are in the form of their life, aren't they, at the moment? Standings, Blackburn and Plymouth. Well, Blackburn could do with breaking into that 50-point barrier. One of only 5 sides this season if they can pull off the win. And Plymouth, an extra 2 points for them. An extra 2 points for them takes them to 30 points. And they will just be above Derby, but bring Cardiff into the equation. This could be one, again, for my 0-0. So we go to the Blackburn match. Hopefully this remains tight for as long as we can get low odds about the draw. That's relatively high. So that's a good sign. Normally 1.25 at half time. So laying over 0.5 goals and then sit on it. So we're likely to get low draw odds at the moment, under 3s. Yeah, 2.5 already. So it's not a long route to odds on, is it? That's why we're getting very high insurance. So let's hope this remains 0-0 for a while. Enough for us to get nice short odds about that draw. Real Madrid have been red carded. Another pre-Champions League cock-up is on its way. Wow, the wheels are falling off, aren't they? No coincidence. Watch out. I don't know if Marseille are involved. Monaco, I think, are involved next week. Watch out for them at 6 o'clock. And look at this, Dortmund completely cocking things up. We've got the 2-1 covered. The only really lost position would be a 2-2 if they hadn't scored that 2-2 early enough. AC Milan a bit later on. Are they going to be vulnerable today? PSV involved in Champions League, already cocking it up themselves. It's all gone Lionel Blair for that lot. Celtic playing Bayern Munich in Bayern next week. Looks like they've got a comfortable afternoon against Dundee United. Are they going to make some team changes second half? Red card, Real Madrid. Is it in a player on or off the pitch? It's Jude. Oh dear. Being offensive and couldn't control himself. He gave Jose Munuera no choice but to send him off. Oh, Jude. Oh, dear. Losing his temper. So those are the odds-ons. Check your nil-nils at half-time. As I say, if there's a compelling argument, Stevenage, Peterborough, I don't know enough about these two. We can check out where they are. And indeed, if they've had recent draws, Stevenage and Peterborough, or Peterborough above the relegation zone, no draw in 4. Stevenage, no draw in 5. So that could be good. Stevenage and Peterborough. So the best way to get on it is at half time and then sit on it and hope you create some value. The best thing to do is just forget it and hope you don't hear that ding or that suspend. Or Peterborough Sports, that's the wrong side. So Stevenage and Peterborough, again, this will give you an indication. Oh, looks like we've got goals already, do we? Or is it a match? No, I don't know what's going on here. It doesn't look to be covered, which is a pity. If anyone's got any information about that one, let me know. Yeah, Jude wants a rest prior to his match against Manchester City. So we've laid Man City. Got to lay them at 3-0 up. I'll pass that on to Telegram. I will be laying Manchester City 3-0 up. It is pre-Champions League. You've got Real Madrid red carded. You've got Dortmund losing 2-0. You've got Atalanta failing to score. You've got PSV leading and then an equaliser. So the Champions League curse is there. The only difference, Man City and Newcastle, is Marmoush. One person scored the hat-trick. Well worth laying at the odds. A small back of Newcastle as well in case the wheels fall off second half pre-Champions League. Don't forget they've got that exciting second leg against Real Madrid, I think it is, next week. So a real low odds play. We've not got any traditional underdog trades as yet. We're more playing the need for wins, aren't we, today? So just having a look through St. Pauli and Freiburg. Watch out for that as a potential late laser draw. Can St. Pauli keep a clean sheet as they did in their 2 recent wins, which have taken them out of trouble temporarily? Stuttgart and the Wolf, 70th minutes in, 1.57 home favourite. We can start checking the goal times to see if there's a notable period where we start seeing goals. Stuttgart and Wolfsburg. So we'll work our way down. And the Red Bull have conceded first to Tyrol. Yes, we've already looked at this, haven't we? But let's have a quick look at the goal times. The last 15 minutes for Stuttgart. Can we get to the 75th minute in the Stuttgart match at 0-0? Don't forget, I laid over 0.5 goals in this one, so this is a good match for me. While it remains 0-0, means I'll be able to lay the draw. The ideal for me would be to get to 1.05, 1.5, because you're doubling your money then. So the last 15 minutes looks to be when they're at their best, second half. But they do score 68% of goals scored second half. So they won't be sweating a 0-0 just yet. And on that basis, I will check out my Stevenage play, my Stuttgart play. So how's it doing? This has risen to £5.77. And while I'm sitting on it, don't forget to turn this into liability. The draw is becoming odds on. So we're doing okay, but it's been a bit of a slog, hasn't it? We've got a £5.73 head start, so to speak. So this is out of kilter, which is what we want, because we want to be getting our first crack at odds on, which is very, very near. So it's only a £4.40 liability. So if you can measure it on that with your net profit, take £4 away. That's 15 quid if it does not end in a score draw. So the later you can get involved, the less chance both teams will score. Maybe that's the Stuttgart goal. Have I missed that out? We'll have to find out. Or is it another one of my suspended matches? So all the while I'm waiting. And there it is. There's the goal. So I could have played just there, couldn't I? As I was showing you, 15 quid green. That would have been rather nice, wouldn't it? So it's a tricky one. That was on the cusp of odds on. Just happened to get the goal, Stuttgart. Don't forget, score the vast majority of their goals second half, as you know. St. Pauli and Freiburg. I don't think I laid over 0.5 goals in this one, did I? I'll double check. So this is the Achilles heel. When do you enter the market? A lot of luck involved. I don't think I did this one, did I? No, I didn't. But you can see the kind of odds you'd get at half time, or maybe not, because it's just been going all the way down. But all the while, draw odds are getting, that'd be the ideal entry point, wouldn't it? 1.49, because you're doubling your money. You could enter now if you wanted to, and then do a third of liability as loss. So maybe if you up this to 24, then get out when your loss hits 8. So you're buying yourself a little bit of time. And look at the return if you're lucky enough to get that goal. So this is a without insurance method, isn't it? I would have preferred to lay over 0.5 goals at half time at about probably 1.3. Get involved now at 1.49. Look at you doubling your money if you can get that single goal. Third of liability is loss. Turn that into 24. Divide that by 3. £8. If this hits £8, that'll be your first cash out for a loss if you're going to take a predetermined loss. So that's another option without the insurance. I do prefer the insurance element because, as I say, the only loss is a score draw. Union Berlin got a goal back. No strong opinion on that one. Dortmund, pre-Champions League. Say it along with me. Not the only ones cocking it up this afternoon, are they? But we've got Man City, if they choose to cock it up. Luton and Sheffield United looks very competitive, and it's certainly 2 second-half goals for Sheffield United. Last match at Middlesbrough will have them very confident here against strugglers Luton. So again, it could have been one of those 0-0s at half-time where you just hope it's going to be tight and then hope that eventually the Blades take over, as they did against Middlesbrough. It's a 10-second delay, so you might miss your odds. So there we go, that's in. Now you just sit on it now. Luton and Sheffield United. Draws at 2.46, so we're getting ever near to that odds on. Quite a big liability. So we're hoping it's going to be 0-0 for a while. Certainly got that record for second half goals, the Blades, haven't they? They're playing the right team as well. They should really take a side like Luton to town. Sunderland loss. That's no great shakes. 2 second half goals against Middlesbrough. Second half winner against Portsmouth, albeit at home. Second half winner against Derby County, away from home. So they're really used to scoring second half goals, the Blades. Sunderland, second half goal conceded in their previous match. Luton, sorry, conceded second half against Millwall. And the Wolves have made it 1-1 against Stuttgart. Wow. 77th minute. But we were only after that lay the draw. You could, of course, well, you can't lay the draw now because that lay of over 0.5 goals is dead. St. Pauli and Freiburg, just to show you an alternate route. So we'll keep an eye on this one. If we can get nice low odds about the draw in the Luton match. St. Pauli could do with a clean sheet and another win to add to their 2 earlier on this year, I think it was. So if this gets to 8, which is a third of liability, you've got an option to cash out, unless you're willing to take the hit and maybe work on a staking plan where you'd win that back eventually, like the lay 1 to 4 staking plan, which could work. If you want more information on that, let me know. So suspended market there. Morecambe have led against Accrington Stanley. Worth keeping an eye on Accrington Stanley. Put together some decent results recently. So this gets to 8. This is your first cash out if you want it, unless you're willing to take the hit for a 1 to 2 play. As you can see, if you're laying over 0.5 goals, you don't have to worry. You can just see if you can lay that draw as late as possible for as big a return as possible. So it's looking very, very quiet, isn't it? Lack of shots on target for these two since the 57th minute. St. Pauli, they'll take a point, that's for sure. Keep digging their way out. Freiburg, a couple of 1-0 wins now. First half goals as well, so we're not looking too confident there. And Bochum looks like they're going to pull this one off. We've got the 2-0 covered. We've got the 2-1 covered. Blackburn and Plymouth want to lay that late draw, isn't it? I think we've done that already, haven't we? Just got to wait. Plymouth would dearly love 3 points to carry on that winning streak, which started with Liverpool. And indeed started with West Brom. Moved to Liverpool and then that emphatic win against Millwall. So this could be a season-saving run for Plymouth. And I think this is one we're laying that draw. Now would be a chance. If you're doing the get out, you get out now. So you've given yourself a chance and it's not come to fruition. You can always get involved again. 109, 106, get rid of a bit of that. Marseille leading Saint-Etienne as expected, really. Blackburn and Plymouth we're going to head off to. Have a quick look. So I think, yeah, we started this one off. So it's not really got moving yet, has it? So it's a bit of a sticky one, this one. The draw is taking its sweet time to drop. Be nice if it was a waterfall all the way down. Can we get... Oh, looks like we've missed that opportunity. So I'm picking the right ones, but I'm not getting involved early enough. Blackburn and Plymouth, it was an obvious lay the draw, wasn't it? Because of the need for points for both teams. Sheffield Wednesday are starting to ramp it up against Coventry. Do you fancy looking at an equaliser there? Let's have a look at the Coventry match. So picking the right ones for the lay the draw. It's up to you if you want to get involved straight away or if you want to try to get better odds. If we're strictly going by the in-play stats here, I would have to take insurance. Have I missed it out? Looking to take on a Coventry lead with that Sheffield Wednesday hitting the 93. Man City might start resting players. Well, we can hope. Indeed, I think Betfair might be having issues. You're quite right, because I can't get on. There's a goal in the Blackburn-Plymouth match. I can't get on Sheffield Wednesday and Coventry. Would have liked to have laid over 1.5 goals and looked at Sheffield Wednesday +1, but I don't know what the odds are. So I think there's some issues over at Betfair. It's not the first market to be suspended. So look like we've done a good job, Bochum and Dortmund, isn't it? We've got involved since the 2-0 and we've not seen a reaction at all, but it's all covered. As long as it's not a 3-0, and you can start looking at potentially cashing out. Both teams to score 27 quid there. Correct score. You can get out there, take your liability back if you wanted. And match odds, you can get out there if you want. So make a slight loss, but you'll save yourself. You'll make £20 back if it's a draw. 2-1 is covered, but then you'll lose the 2-0 on the both teams to score no. So it's working very nicely, that. Good choice of match for that technique. If you don't lose, break even. Blackburn and Plymouth. Look at that, 104 for Sheffield Wednesday, and we can't play because it looks like the market is illiquid. No, it's suspended, like the Man City game was a bit earlier on. Ipswich have taken the lead against the Villains. Unbelievable, Jeff. That's why you cover the 3-1. 3-0, 3-1, any other home scores. A great goal if you went over 3.5 goals, because you're expecting a comeback now. There's not going to be much value here at all. Match odds, they're still going to be under evens. There we go. Just over evens because it's a 56-minute goal. But let's have a look. Wait for this to tighten up a little bit, the over 1.5 goal market. You could get evens about a side with an extra player. So that wouldn't be too shabby. Let's see if this will tighten up a bit. Probably not. Looks like it's heading towards the 1.2. So this is an illiquid market, as you can see here. There's very little market forces. So laying over 1.5 goals. How much is that going to cost me? Don't forget there's a 12-second delay here. Not usual for the Premier League. So let's, well, there we go. So go straight to the match odds. You're at least getting evens about the Villains, but you're not going to get much value out of laying Norwich. Laying Ipswich, sorry, because of that red card. So let's check that one out. Yes, it's not the greatest profit on the planet, is it? But if you did go 3-0, 3-1, any other home score, well, you're up and running. If you did go 3.5 goals, you're up and running there as well. Neutral play will always get that extra goal helping you when the underdog scores it first. Sheffield Wednesday, I wish I could play, but I can't get in. Let's keep an eye on that one. Sheffield Wednesday, can we get in? No. It'd be frustrating if Coventry equalise. We've got a goal. St. Pauli and Freiburg. So if you did stay in, well done. But if you're a St. Pauli fan, not very good at all. As you can see, had I taken insurance out at half time, I would have stayed in that one. And the reward, 48 quid to a £20 stake. An 88th minute goal for the away side. Fantastic result if you're laying those draws second half and you're getting on. Bochum and Dortmund, perfect play. We've got everything covered. So no worries at all there. Birmingham have taken the lead against Charlton, not a surprise. But I wonder how many of these matches are open. Not seeing much from Middlesbrough, are we? 1.57. Last shot on target, 54th minute. Only the one shot on, one shot off, and one corner second half. With 15 minutes into the match. Not very appealing at all. Man City just layable at the odds. Luton and Sheffield United to be looking, ideally, for that second half goal. This is a good example of sitting on it if the match is still alive. Got a lot of suspended markets today. So it's rising ever so slowly. All the while it remains 0-0. The draw odds are getting shorter and shorter, but how long do I wait? Because if I got to evens before, I would have been okay, wouldn't I? You're just hoping that Luton keep it tight for a little bit longer. Well, it's an equaliser for Bolton. We were waiting on that, weren't we? The odds on shot away from home. But not the most emphatic stats on the planet. I'm not going to be playing this. There's a Sheffield Wednesday equaliser. There we go. So if you've got on elsewhere, well done. It was coming, wasn't it? But I couldn't get on Betfair, which is a real pity. Fulham have made it 2-1 against Nottingham Forest. Deserved on the in-play stats. 52 dangerous attacks to 11. West Ham, I'm not going to be playing London derbies. But if you're looking purely at the in-play stats, you do know that Brentford, both teams do tend to score. You might want to look at a 2-1, 1-2 if you fancy that. That covers whoever scores the next goal. But I wouldn't be playing London derbies, but I will show you the odds as they are. 2-1, pretty decent odds. So this is the kind of thing. This will cover the next goal scorer. You could put stake available. You could do variable profit, looking to win a specific amount. Required profit, 40 quid for a £10 stake. So 4-1, 3-1 return, 4-1 return. So that might be worth a punt. As a trade, you're hoping that ideally it becomes 1-1, of course. Then both of them will be alive. So it'll be interesting to see. I like to experiment like this. We might stumble across another trading technique, perhaps use this in 0-1 scenarios for the away side when the home side's a favourite, that kind of thing. Or at the beginning or middle of a second half. We might just stumbled across something that's worthwhile and can be used again. So let's have a look through. Well, we don't need to be alerted. Man City, I'll see that on Football 24. This, we're just waiting to lay that draw at some point. The longer Luton can hold out, the better our chances of getting a very good lay of that draw at short odds. The problem with the Blades is they do score second half consistently. Let's have a look at some of the other matches that are not quite on the radar at the moment. 2.35 Sturm Graz, Red Bull Salzburg. Well, they've been a bit wobbly, Red Bull Salzburg. Look at those 4 L's and a D. That's nowhere near the form we expect of Red Bull Salzburg. So I think someone's been carded. That's Wolfsberger leading 2-0. No, that's not a red card. Okay, I thought someone was carded. So we'll just have a look at these peripherals. Get rid of a few of these. Dinamo Zagreb, very strong Favs at home. We got a 2-1 last match, didn't we? We didn't. I think they got 2-2 at the end, didn't they? Oh no, 2-1. Blackburn and Plymouth. We were just looking for that draw to end, weren't we? And it looks as if it has. I think we can Well, just keep an eye, I suppose, on Plymouth. Stoke and Swansea remains. No, it's 0-1. It's a relegation 6-pointer. Hull were leading Norwich, but Norwich have equalised, and the Baggies have equalised against Millwall. Just waiting to see if Middlesbrough look as if they could equalise at 1.57 at home. They don't look up to it today, though. That's the problem. Wigan and Stockport still remains 0-0. Fourth place Stockport. Relegation 6-pointer for Wigan. So keep an eye on that 0-0. Carlisle and Colchester. Carlisle, obviously, desperate need for points at 0-0. 19th place Gills as well. English League 2, not my favourite league. I tend to lose when I go down there. Tranmere and MK Dons, 22nd in the league, Tranmere, but they don't look like they're reacting. Bradford been red carded against Newport, English League 2. Can Newport take advantage, like Sud Tirol did earlier on? I wouldn't discount old Accrington Stanley in a relegation 6-pointer with old Eric. So we'll keep an eye on that one. They have pulled off a few decent results of late, Accrington. Relegation 6-pointer Cheltenham and Barrow as well. Keep an eye on that. Cheltenham look as if they're sniffing an equaliser. And looks like relegation threatened Shrewsbury, despite leading, are now losing. Northern Leagues, not going to bother with all that. Premier League, Aston Villa and Ipswich. No excuses really for the villains today. Southampton and Bournemouth, easy as you like. Banker material. French League. Well, it's 0-0 still. I thought there was a goal for Marseille, but that looks like that was discounted. Keep an eye on that one. Another, I think they might be involved in the Champions League, or is it Monaco? Brest and PSG, I think, the only French sides involved next week. Well, Stuttgart and the Wolf, the draw has ended. And it's gone in favour of the Wolf. Not much else in Germany today. So we're caught up. Just got to keep an eye on Sheffield United. Try to avoid that goal. And Peterborough have equalised against Stevenage. Let's have a look at Sheffield United. Hopefully we don't. We can lay that draw before the goal arrives. Still 1.75. Looking good. This is up to £6 now. This, you're getting 26. You get about an evens return net, as long as it doesn't end in a score draw. So put this at 1.74 and leave it. 10-second delay. Marseille have just got that lead against Saint-Etienne. Peterborough have equalised against Stevenage. But no real plays there at the moment. So we'll work our way through again. Lots of suspended markets. So we're waiting for that 1.74 to get matched. Birmingham Charlton, I don't think we need to monitor that one anymore. Carlisle and Colchester, we know that's a relegation 6-pointer for Carlisle. So if they start that momentum moving forward, coming to the end of the match at 0-0, we've got a good chance of a late goal, as we did, hopefully, as you did with St. Pauli and Freiburg, if you stayed in that one. Poor old St. Pauli, alive till very late on. 2.6 for the favourite. Sheffield Wednesday, what a pity we can't play this one. That would have been a nice profit there. Middlesbrough, still not showing anything. You can tell it's a very equal match. Just looking at the momentum graph. No one real dominant side, is it? They're staying around the centre. But normally 1.57 shots don't tend to fall foul at home. They can just keep the away side quiet And there's an Ipswich, there's an Aston Villa goal. Now, you'll see the difference that the red card makes to this as well. That 1-1 for Villa. It's going to be doubly important, or helped, compounded by that red. So it gives you a chance at the win now. That was the 69th minute. We've got 20 minutes to go for Ipswich to survive. So that's an easy enough call. But if you're willing to take the hit on the draw, you've got a good chance now of the Villains moving on, taking the 3 much needed points when you've got this opportunity against 10 men. I'm still umming and ahhing about Middlesbrough. Vitally important that they get 3 points today in 9th place. That will help them towards the promotion playoff places, which are very, very competitive in the Championship. But they're just not turned up. If you did want to play, then the insurance is going to cost you a little bit more at the moment. Normally 1.5 to 1.7 at home don't disappoint. Saints have a goal back. The insurance is a little bit too high, but if you were going to play, you get 3s or heading towards 3s for +1. Match odds, well, reasonable enough at 12s. But they've just not turned up, have they? But if you did insurance, this is the whole point of having insurance, is just to hope it remains 0-1. And you're in with a shout until the death that the home side will get that equaliser. 19th place, Gillingham. 3 shots on target. Last one 3 minutes ago. No real concerted pressure. Luton and Sheffield United. Well, did I bite the bullet already? I think I did. So as you can see, if you've got the kahunas, the longer you can wait, the lower the odds and the bigger the return. For example, if I got involved now, that return is £33. So that would be excellent, wouldn't it? Blackpool and Mansfield is 2-3 from 1-3. We can have another comeback like we did earlier on at the Garner's match. Gillingham and Crewe, we've already looked at that one. Wigan and Stockport, 16th, the only reason for any interest there. Looks like Fulham have turned up as favourites today. Quite emphatic stuff from them. But while there's only a goal in it, Forest will feel they have a chance. Newport and Bradford. Bradford third. Is this, did I lay that over 0.5 goals in that particular match? Could be a good strategy for this part of the season, couldn't it? Because there's going to be some tight matches remaining. No, doesn't look like I did in that one. Doesn't look like that's covered either. So Aston Villa, we're expecting the win. We can get rid of this one now. Bolton have come back into it. Accrington Stanley, possibilities here of taking on Morecambe. They're playing a fellow relegation threatened side, and they have shown capabilities. And when the in-play stats are shouting, they do normally turn up, but it's another match we can't play. A lot of suspended markets. Yeah, as Andy says, Betfair having issues at the moment. So that's a pity. I would have liked that Sheffield Wednesday play earlier on. DZ, 1.27 today. Salzburg, well, do you trust them? 4 defeats and a draw. Not really their old selves. Easy as you like for Marseille. I expect a few more goals from them today. Let's work our way down. Any other matches which catch the eye? Not really. Stoke and the Swans. Coventry have made it 1-2. Now that goal has been disallowed, but we can't play that one anyway, can we? Stoke and the Swans, It's 19th against 17th. We'll keep an eye on that one. Score draw late on, if we can actually get to the match. Will Norwich end their 2-match winless streak against Hull? They're playing the right team to end a winless streak. So we'll keep an eye on that one late on. Reading and Rotherham. Stevenage and Peterborough. There we go. That's the Stoke-Swansea match. I was looking for that one a bit later on. Stoke-Swansea 2-1. Plenty to play for. Stevenage and Borough, if they can eke out a win somehow, Peterborough could help their season out. So this is all National League stuff, not tradable. Premier League, well, no reply from Newcastle, but it's very short odds, wasn't it, that lay of Man City. Well worth doing. You've seen a lot of these pre-Champions League sides that are struggling today. Red card for Crewe Alexandra against the Gills. Can Gillingham take advantage? I thought they were up here somewhere. So Gillingham against Crewe Alexandra, 0-0. So let's see if we can find that one. Gillingham against Crewe. No, can't find it. Not to worry. We'll go to our odds-ons as well. Just keep an eye. And Osasuna taking advantage. I can't hear this. I don't know why. I haven't muted it. No. Really should be getting an alert. So let's have a look through. Red Bull Salzburg, I don't know if you can trust them today against Ferovski Tyrol. 2-0 to Blackburn Rovers against Plymouth, putting that one to bed. Dinamo Zagreb just kicking off. Any other odds-ons? While Slovaco and Dukla Prague, 1.7 Slovaco, not managed to break through yet. So we might have a strategy just with 0-0s at half-time for odds-on favourites, perhaps. And then sitting on it, you might get the odd value play, as you're seeing with Dukla Prague. Blackburn and Plymouth, well, 1.83 favourite is doing the job. Sheffield United have scored. Let's see what that has done. Blackpool have made it 3-3. That was one to look out for, wasn't it? From 1-3 to 2-3. It's a totally different match, isn't it? Sheffield United have scored. Now you can get out now, but don't forget you're going to make got to account for that £7.60. If you're going to get out now, it'll just be a tenner. But it's all relative to the amount you risk. You double this to 40, that becomes 20, doesn't it? We don't want to score draw here. So if you're confident enough that the Blades won't concede late, then you can take home about £19, about an evens return on that draw liability, which is a pretty decent. It's a nice little strategy, this, isn't it? When it comes off, you've got to get the timing right. Blackpool and Mansfield, if you did get involved with that, well done. There's a lot of matches which are not available, which is a pity. Stoke and the Swans that get rid of that was taking that draw on. Colchester and Carlisle. No real momentum shaker there, is there? But 24th in the league don't want a 0-0, do they? They want 3 points, as does 11th. They're on a really solid run. But this is English League 2, so liabilities have to be kept very low indeed. Middlesbrough starting to wake up a little bit now. This is what you wanted to see of them a bit earlier on. Let's have a quick look at their goal scoring. Is this a good time to get Borough? Let's have a look. So we'll just work down to the goal times table. It's all a bit of a mess, this website, isn't it? So let's have a go, look down. Goal times. Middlesbrough scoring. Well, they've scored 5 goals in the last 15 minutes of home matches. And we know Watford have conceded 68% of their, 55% of the goals, but 17 and 13 in the last half hour of away matches. So if Middlesbrough are waking up, they might have a shout here. So let's have a look at this one. It's getting shorter, where you don't have to really take insurance out. That'll cost a £5 or £8. And then just add a little bit more in here. There's a bit of a delay, not normal in the English games. So that looks reasonable enough. All right, Bolton make it 1-3. Stockport have taken a 0-1 lead. That Blackpool 3-3, I hope you looked into that. I gave it a fleeting mention. That's something to look at. If it goes from 1-3 to 2-3 with enough time left for the 3-3, you might have a really good opportunity. So Middlesbrough look as if they're knocking on that door, don't they? Possibilities there. The Crew, red card. Will Gillingham take advantage? You can lay that draw as late as possible and hope that they'll do a Sud Tirol and get that late winner that they need. They're 19th in the league, but it is League Two, so it's not a league we can really trust too well. Wigan and Stockport, no strong opinion there. But Fulham, 82nd minute, thoroughly deserving this lead. The market getting Forrester right today, 3.5 outsiders. Bournemouth have added another goal to bring that 2-goal lead back. Newport and Bradford. Bradford still can't take advantage of that red. So we've got some poor sides with an extra man who can't quite take advantage in League Two yet. Gillingham and Newport. Keep an eye on those. 4-0 to Man City, but well worth laying them pre-Champions League, just in case the wheels fall off, like they did for Real Madrid. London derby. The clock is ticking for the villains. Surely they can turn this into 2-1. Can't they? 95 attacking pressure index. Can they do it? 9 minutes and extra time to go. Cheltenham and Barrow, really good fight back. Well, fight back from Barrow, I think. Well, no, they were leading. So Cheltenham have swung that one around. Is there going to be a late story to this? We will see. Accrington Stanley, well, not enough shots on target stats. Plenty of noise with the secondary stats. It is a relegation 6-pointer. They do turn in the odd good result. Well, that win against Crewe, for example, top of the league, Crewe. But then a closer inspection to the recent matches, not really scoring, are they? And Gillingham have taken advantage of Crewe Alexandra, if you laid the draw there. 19th in the league. So we're just waiting on the villains, really, to pull it off. Surely they can't let this opportunity go. And that's it at the moment. 10 minutes in for Dinamo Zagreb. Accrington Stanley, another shot off target against Morecambe. Their odds might be getting nice and short now. Morecambe. See, I prefer insurance all the time rather than throwing away money if it doesn't come in. But The only other way to have taken insurance here would be to lay overs, but you're going to get +1 starting to move up to 4s. So it's very hefty. Gillingham goal disallowed. Do they have enough time to mount another attack? Let's have a look. If a side's just had a goal disallowed and it's another match we can't play, which is a pity. And Morecambe make it 2-0. I was going to head over there to have a look at Accrington. See if we take Eric on late on, but looks like they have sealed the win, Morecambe, against Accrington Stanley. And thankfully, looking at that recent form or lack thereof, I'm glad we didn't get involved because they weren't showing much goal scoring apart from that Crewe win, which looks to have been an anomaly. So there's a few matches we can't actually play, which is a pity. So I'll say goodbye to you at 5 o'clock, but I'll stay on for a little bit longer. Carlisle and Colchester remains 0-0, but there's no last gasp. Well, there's 10 minutes to go, I suppose, but there's no real attacking pressure index that we can look at. But Burton Albion are starting to motor a little in another relegation 6-pointer. Just got the goal back against Bristol Rovers. They got a score draw last match, 2 consecutive draws, but they wins recently have seen them score 2 goals at least. So we might still have something left in that match, Bristol Rovers against Burton Albion. Possible late end to that draw. Middlesbrough, it's a very speculative one, isn't it? They just haven't turned up second half. But had you taken insurance out, these shorties do tend to deliver, i.e. not lose you money. 60 dangerous attacks to 23 as well. It's a good defensive display from Watford. Not really going to gain much from a win today. But each 3 points is 3 points nearer to the promotion playoffs, I suppose. Gillingham, can they take advantage? But we can't get into the match. So there's a number of lower tier matches we can't quite look at. PSV cannot afford a draw. Yeah, it's difficult to get in the Man City match yet. Bosun can rest. Betfair can rest easy yet. They've currently had the same points with Ajax. Well, it's pre-Champions League, Bosun. You know they can cock it up. I think they're playing Utrecht today. So if you want to see an end to that draw, you have to look out for it. So there's a few of these matches we can't actually play, which is a pity. But we've got the Aston Villa one on. That red card really should seal the deal for the Villains today. But they're running out of time. 97 attacking pressure index. And that one, that's about it at the moment. Not seeing any goals of any great importance. Sheffield Wednesday and Coventry. Well, thought Burton would have pulled that one off. Don't think we laid the draw there. Ross County 0-2 against Motherwell. Sheffield United still holding on to that 0-1 win. You can always cash that one out. We're getting nearer to the full amount. So it's a good little technique. Did I miss out on a couple of others? Bradford maybe? Or Blackburn I missed out on, didn't I? They got the goal too early for me. Blackpool and Mansfield could be an obvious late lay the draw. Blackpool have the momentum. But probably another match we can't actually play. No, what a pity. There's a few of them we can't actually get involved in. Certainly momentum with Blackpool here coming to the end of that particular match. So not much we can do with these lower tier sides. Just have to wait and hope that Aston Villa can pull off the late win. You weren't going to get much value with an odds-on favourite at home to 10 men. But they're really struggling to put a cap on that one. Lazio and Napoli to come. That's going to be a fascinating fixture. Don't have a strong opinion there. Napoli, top of the league. And with Atalanta failing to win earlier on, Napoli could make that gap between them and Atalanta even greater with a win later on. PSV against Utrecht, as Bosun says, PSV must be eyeing the win, but you can see they're another one of those Champions League sides who have really, really struggled. So we're coming to the end of the match. And Sheffield Wednesday, Coventry make it 1-2. But it's another match we couldn't get involved in. We would have made that profit on that Sheffield Wednesday equaliser. That was all I was looking for in that particular match. And we had enough time to have cashed out of that one. That would have been a lovely play. It's typical of what you want to see in a confident play. One-way traffic from the Owls that they've got done late on by Frank Lampard to Coventry, who are going to be moving up towards the playoff places with yet another win. Carlisle and Colchester, 86th minute. Probably we can't play these lower tiers. No late action anyway for Carlisle and Colchester yet in the 86th minute. Bristol Rovers and Burton. Well, Burton I thought would have been the side to have ended that draw, but no. Bristol Rovers have done it. Blackpool and Mansfield I would look to have taken on that late 3-3, with Blackpool having the momentum, but with 3 consecutive draws, they'd be keen as well to see that end. 109, 106 there, if I could have played Blackpool, Mansfield. Very late action from Blackpool gives them a chance here. Middlesbrough, with insurance, this was or would have been a good play, wouldn't it? Laying over that 1.5 goals to cover that 0-1 and then just sitting and waiting for either a 0-1 or for a 1-1. If it ends 0-1, you break even. As I said, 1.5 to 1.7 at home don't tend to disappoint the trader. Doesn't mean they're going to win. Hull and Norwich, well, it's petered out a little at the end, hasn't it? Again. Just as we're coming to the end, what we're looking for really in these must-wins is for some late action like this. But the Villains are running out of time. Can they get the winner? Could be a crucial 3 points for Ipswich, but I think they're... well, they get 4 points out of 2 matches. But it still won't be enough, I think, to save their season. Don't play London derbies, as you know. But again, if you've done, well, 2-1, 1-2, we were aligned for the possibility of the next team to score, but that hasn't come to fruition. It's a gentle reminder to you about London derbies or any other derbies. This is also a derby-style match, isn't it? They're very tough to unpack. Dinamo Zagreb coming to the 20th minute. We saw Celtic earlier on. Similar odds. Get at least a goal before half-time if you fancy that. PSV, an hour in. Pre-Champions League. But 10 shots on target for them. Now, suspended markets are probably going to be the end of matches, aren't they? Disappointing if Aston Villa don't pull this one off. Stoke City looks like a late winner. I know they made it 3-1 against the Swans. So we've been a little blunted by Betfair's inability to unsuspend a lot of these matches, which is a pity. Hopefully the better quality later matches will be able to get on. So I'll call it a day as soon as these 5 o'clocks finish. It's not doing much with the lower tiers today, which is a pity. So 109, 106 is if I was available to play, certainly the Gillingham Crewe match would get some interest, given the red card and the goal disallowed earlier on for Gillingham. Keep your liability low, of course, given it's English League 2. And I would have looked at the possibility of that Blackpool Mansfield draw ending as well for the 109, 106. It doesn't cost you much, but all it takes is one of them to come in and you're £50+ better off. And they do come in, particularly at this stage of the season. So we're missing a few opportunities there to have made a play. So with that in mind, I think it'll be a good time for me to say good night as we're waiting for Aston Villa to get the winner, but looks like Ipswich will be holding firm. Thanks very much for coming, and I hope to see you a bit later on Telegram, and I will see you again tomorrow. Cheers for now.